Hey guys, did you see that game last night? It was so good to get back to real ball. And I think the Bears just found yet another dependable high ceiling receiver for this squad. I mean, the rich just got richer, right? And if the Bears are considering keeping 6 receivers on their 53-man roster this season, I think they are. Veteran wide receiver Colin Johnson. His resume now includes this outstanding performance Thursday night in the Hall of Fame game. And I'm going to go to this story here. You guys, if you get a chance, check it out. It's on The Athletic and kind of details what emerged last night. And I think we have another good receiver emerging. So the starters, right, they didn't play. Most of the key reserves were out against Houston last night. We're looking at Colin Johnson standing out as one of the best players on the field, and it was super obvious. He made 3 catches for 56 yards, 2 touchdowns, 21-17 win for the Bears in a game. You know, it was called out in the third quarter because of inclement weather. It was the weather turned bad. That's fine. But if the game would have continued, I think this dude would have done even more. And kind of the stats don't give it justice. Even though 2 touchdowns for over 50 yards is pretty great, we're looking at a leaping catch for a 27-yard gain down the right sideline. We're talking a couple more acrobatic, tough, high-point catches. And I think he definitely looked like the best player on the field. And ripping, he was spinning it. So to hear from Johnson, this is what he had to say. I kind of entered the game with just a sense of gratitude. I felt honored to have the opportunity to play this amazing game. And this is a guy that missed the 2022 season with a torn Achilles. This guy has fought back from injury. And to hear him, it's been a long journey for me with injuries and stuff like that. So I just want to put my best foot forward. I think I did that tonight. So I don't have to tell you guys, we are loaded at wide receiver. We've got DJ Moore, who just got his bag. Keenan Allen, rookie Rome Odunze. Velus Jones, he didn't play. He wasn't there on returns. He wasn't there as the not very good receiver, but it looks like his roster spot right now is safe. But Matt Eberflus told the staff, he told the reporters that this job as returner is still wide open, and the rest of these wide receiver spots are wide open. So what's really the competition? 1 or 2 roster spots between Johnson, Tyler Scott. Tyler Scott's going to make it. Dante Pettis, DeAndre Carter. That's going to be more competition in training camp and in preseason. Tyler Scott obviously has that spot stitched up. So I think it's Johnson fighting against primarily Dante Pettis and DeAndre Carter for that last receiver spot. Man, looking at this game, if this even comes close to continuing, how does that not happen? And I absolutely love this big-bodied receiver. So to hear more from Johnson, I felt super honored because that's the first tackle of this new kickoff rule. And this is something, if you weren't noticing, special teams is going to really partially decide this. And Johnson tackled Texas returner Steven Sims on the opening kickoff. The NFL's first look at the new way of doing kickoffs, and Johnson continued with, it was super cool. I'm just going to keep growing. Definitely the speed and the timing of the new kickoff is just drastically different. It's just so much faster. I'm going to close this down. You guys check out that whole profile on The Athletic. Excuse me. I want to kind of talk about who Johnson was as a player coming into the draft. And I think this is really cool. 5th round pick for the Jaguars. He came off the draft board 8 spots before Darnell Mooney during the 20 NFL draft. Now that's pretty interesting. He's a wide-bodied 6'6" receiver, weighed in at 220, had a great college career at Texas, and it was kind of weird that he slipped down at the time. And when he was drafted, he was the tallest wideout in the whole NFL at 6'6". I mean, that's pretty interesting as well. Just a big target. So let's take a little look at who he was as a college player at Texas. 4 years there, finished his Longhorn career with 2,624 yards, fifth most in Texas history, 15 touchdowns, 188 receptions. So we're kind of looking at his senior year. He missed 6 games with a hamstring injury. That's kind of where the injury started. He finished second on the team in receiving production still, and that's with missing 6 games. Still finished second in receiving. Led the receiving corps as a sophomore when he averaged 58 yards per game. That's nice. As a junior, set a Big 12 championship game record with 177 receiving yards on 9 catches with a TD in the title game against Oklahoma. And I mean, I remember that game. He looked like the best athlete on the field in this game. And it kind of brought me back a little bit to that game, seeing how he performed in the preseason here. Man, I just love this Bears team. We are so blessed. And if you think about Marrone of the Jaguars, the coach at the time, this is what he had to say at the draft. It's different than what we have. He's a guy that's 6'6", 220 pounds. He can run really well, just a different element for our offense. And the Bears added him to their receiving corps the other year after dealing away disgruntled wide receiver Chase Claypool. He was way more than disgruntled. I'm still annoyed at this. Let's just move on. But they signed Johnson back in November of that year, the former Jaguar wide receiver. He joined the practice squad, brought up to the active roster last year for the Atlanta game. Due to injuries to Mooney, St. Brown, had a couple catches. He looked kind of nice. Now we see this preseason performance. And man, look back at that. He was brought up from essentially the practice squad because Darnell Mooney and Equanimous, I can't say it, St. Brown were hurt. That's just a year ago. Look at our receivers now. Can you believe it? This is just ridiculous. So looking at this, his rookie year, he caught 18 passes for 272 yards for the Jags, couple touchdowns. Then he added another 11 receptions for 105 yards in his second season after moving on to the New York Giants. I mean, there's just more to the story, though. The Giants at the time, they were going to make him an important starter in 2022. But what happened? He missed the entire 2022 season after tearing his Achilles. Just tough luck during his third training camp. Now he's here. Honestly, I love having him here. Looking back at the Giants, they were very high on him. So looking back at the, ESPN at that time, there's an article here at the time of that Achilles tear. This is really interesting. They listed him as the big receiver out of Texas, receiving first-team reps in recent weeks at practice. Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard were among those on the sidelines at the time. He was going to be an important piece. He started a preseason game and pulled down 3 catches for 41 yards. And at the time, Brian Daboll, he was pumping him up a lot. This is to hear from him. Colin, David Sills, they stepped up their game and they're right in the mix, not just to make the team, but to play and to play big time. He was also making his mark as the best blocker on the team within the receiver room. He was talked about as moving his game up to another level. He was having a fantastic camp, and Daniel Jones was voicing trust in him in the media. He was earning first-team reps, 10 catches for 123 yards during the first 2 preseason games. He was going to start day one. Super high on him. Then he had the Achilles tear. Such a tough break. But if he's the player for the Bears that he was before the injury, we could be looking at another sneaky addition by Poles and company. This will be the main player I'm going to continue to watch as we continue through the preseason. Just a nice piece to have as insurance. And if this continues, he could be a nice contributor. And there's just one more thing that shows I just really like this kid, and he is high character. And if you look at this game last night, coordinator Richard Hightower, he came up to him and he offered to remove him from special teams when the good plays from him on offense started stacking up. But Johnson declined. He wanted to play as much as possible. And this is to hear the final thing from him. For me, with my journey, just a lot of injuries and just having to be patient. My goal tonight was just to give God glory with everything I did. I was super emotional in locker room because I had such a long journey. This is my first time getting in the end zone since 2020. I never stopped working. I never stopped keeping faith, and I'm just going to build off this and keep working. I mean, God bless this kid, a man of faith, a man of character, but also a guy that just absolutely balled out in the preseason game last year. So much encouragement. The Bears have another sneaky emerging player, and I'm here for it, you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. And also, I'm expanding a little bit. I'm starting a Pittsburgh Steelers channel as well to kind of give a team in the AFC some love, some impartial love, because first and foremost, I'm always going to be a dyed-in-the-wood Chicago Bears fan. And man, couldn't be more happy with how this offseason is going for us. Bear down. It is so good to be a Chicago Bears fan, and you guys are family. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.